Iran closed a key oil route after U.S. strikes. Texas mandates 10 commandments in schools. The U.S. housing market splits between buyers and sellers. And here's today's trivia question. Which American authors believed to be the first to submit a typewritten manuscript to a publisher? It could be so many people. I'll tell you at the end of the show. It's Monday, June 23rd. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Good morning and welcome to the Flyover Podcast. I am your weekday host, Ayla Brown. Happy official summer. There's also been a lot happening in the world, and we will unpack it all together. It's Monday, so let's take off with the biggest headlines of the day. Iran's parliament voted Sunday to close the Strait of Hormuz, a choke point for 20% of global oil, after U.S. strikes hit its nuclear sites. The closure, effective today, spiked Brent crude to $83 per barrel. That morning, Iran fired 30 missiles at Israel, wounding 21 and collapsing buildings. Operation Midnight Hammer saw 7 U.S. B-2 bombers drop 14 GBU-57 bunker busters on Fordow and Natanz, destroying 70% of Iran's uranium enrichment capacity. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and General Dan Kane said Iran's air defenses failed, but stressed no war is sought. Iran's closure risks global supply chains, with Saudi Arabia and UAE rerouting tankers. Next, Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed Senate Bill 2025 on Sunday, requiring all public school classrooms to display the 10 Commandments starting in the fall of 2025. Posters at least 16 by 20 inches must be privately donated, not bought with district funds. The ACLU of Texas filed a lawsuit on Monday arguing it violates the First Amendment's church-state separation, citing a 1980 Supreme Court ruling against a Kentucky law. Supporters, led by Senator Phil King, claim it reflects historical values, noting Texas's 2023 law allowing school chaplains. Critics, though, including the Texas Freedom Network, say it alienates non-Christians, with 30% of Texas students identifying as non-religious. And lastly, is it a buyer's or is it a seller's market right now? Let's find out. Zillow's June housing index shows a split U.S. market, with sellers dominating upstate New York and the Midwest, while buyers hold power in the South and the Sun Belt. The median home sale price hit a little over $396,000, 6% below the approximately $422,000 list price. Rochester, New York, scored 145, the nation's hottest sellers market, driven by low inventory, while Miami favors buyers with 2.8 sellers per buyer due to high condo supply. Redfin predicts a 1% price drop by December as 500,000 surplus listings and 7% mortgage rates pressure sellers. Only 28% of homes sold above asking price in May, down about 35% in 2024. In politics, Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard sparked tension within the administration by downplaying Iran's nuclear threat. In March of 2025, Gabbard testified before Congress that Iran's supreme leader had not restarted the nuclear weapons program, suspended in 2003, despite high uranium enrichment levels. President Trump, aligning with Israeli claims, twice rebuked her, saying Iran was very close to a nuclear weapon. On June 17th, aboard Air Force One, President Trump dismissed her testimony, stating, quote, "I don't care what she said." Gabbard, absent from a key Camp David meeting on Iran, later posted on social media that Iran could build a weapon in weeks if it chose, aligning with President Trump after accusing the media of distorting her words. Next, the Trump administration fired 639 Voice of America journalists on Friday. This was part of a broader purge totaling over 1,000 since April, targeting perceived bias and bureaucratic bloat. Voice of America, a U.S.-funded global broadcaster with 3,500 staff, faced scrutiny for alleged anti-Trump reporting during his first term. The dismissals included senior editors and foreign correspondents, disrupting coverage in 47 languages. The move follows President Trump's 2024 campaign pledge to, quote, drain the media swamp, with plans to defund Voice of America's $250 million budget by 2026. And lastly, Pakistani officials announced Saturday they will nominate President Trump for the 2026 Nobel Peace Prize for brokering a March ceasefire between Pakistan and India, which ended a year-long Kashmir border conflict that killed 1,200 soldiers. The deal, signed in Dubai, established a 50-mile demilitarized zone and joint patrols, mediated by President Trump during a February G20 summit. Pakistan's foreign minister praised President Trump's decisive diplomacy. The Nobel Committee, which received 318 nominations for 2025, rarely awards sitting presidents, with Obama's 2009 prize a notable exception. Today's episode is powered by Fatty 15. Aging isn't just about getting older, you guys. It's about what's happening inside of our cells. So, scientists now know that a lack of C15, an essential fatty acid newly discovered after 90 years, can lead to something called cellular fragility syndrome. That affects your energy, sleep, joints, everything, pretty much. Fatty 15 is here to change that. It's vegan, science-backed, and developed with help from the U.S. Navy. So you can start feeling better in just weeks. Doesn't that sound glorious? And get 15% off when you go to fatty15.com/flyover15 and use the code flyover15. If you've forgotten any of that, don't worry. It's in the show notes below. Just click on the link. Here are some bonus stories just for listeners of the Flyover Podcast. A gunman stormed Cross Point Community Church in Wayne, Michigan during an 11 a.m. Sunday service, firing a 9mm handgun and wounding a volunteer security guard in the leg. The guard, a retired police officer with a concealed carry permit, returned fire, fatally wounding the 30-year-old suspect, whose identity remains undisclosed. About 150 worshipers, including 30 children in a nearby classroom, were unharmed, though services were halted. Police are probing the gunman's motive, with early reports suggesting mental health issues, but no clear political or religious intent. A Missouri Circuit Court judge in Cole County ordered St. Paul Fire and Marine Insurance Company to pay Ryan Ferguson nearly $44 million on Friday for his 2004 wrongful conviction in the murder of Columbia Daily Tribune sports editor Kent Heitholt. Ferguson, then 20 years old, was convicted based on a friend's false testimony, which was recanted in 2009. That led to his release in 2013 after nearly 10 years in prison. In 2017, Ferguson won an $11 million federal lawsuit against Columbia Police for fabricating evidence, with St. Paul insuring the city. Now, the insurer refused to pay, arguing its coverage began in 2006, post-misconduct, but the court found it acted in bad faith, awarding $10 million in compensatory damages, $25 million in punitive damages, and $8.8 million in interest. Lastly, 30 years after Michael Jackson's 1995 History album launch, his 10-meter fiberglass statues erected for promotion across Europe still stand in some pretty obscure locations. All right, so 9 statues once loomed over cities like London's Tower Bridge and somewhere in Prague, one of the parks, right, drawing crowds during Michael Jackson's world tour. Today, one of them remains at an amusement park in Italy, another in an abandoned nightclub in Austria. A statue outside of a McDonald's in Best, Netherlands, was removed in 2019 amid backlash over Michael Jackson's abuse allegations. Others are in storage or just deteriorating. So if you've ever wondered about those statues, now you know. That's your podcast extra roundup. I look forward to giving you more stories just like this every single day. Coming up, 7 U.S. cities will pay you $15,000 in cash just for moving there. But you have to stay at least a year. Think you can do it? I'll tell you where next. In finance news, Fred Smith, who founded FedEx in 1973, died at 80 years old. The company announced the news on Sunday. Smith, a Yale grad and Marine veteran, built FedEx into a $50 billion global logistics giant, pioneering overnight delivery with a hub-and-spoke model. He stepped down as CEO in 2022, but remained chairman. His 1971 business plan, initially graded a C, can you believe that? Revolutionized shipping, employing 500,000 people today. FedEx stock dipped 1% after hours. Next, Elon Musk just announced that Tesla launched its self-driving robotaxi service in Austin, Texas on Sunday with up to 20 vehicles. The service, using Tesla's Cybercab without steering wheels, tests autonomous tech before expanding to San Francisco in 2026. Rides cost $1 per mile, competing with Waymo's 300 vehicles. Elon Musk aims for 1,000 robo-taxis by the year end, despite, a 2024 recall of 2 million cars for software issues. So we'll see. And then 7 U.S. cities and states, including Tulsa, West Virginia, and Topeka, offer up to $15,000 in cash, free gym memberships, and co-working spaces to attract remote workers and recent graduates. Tulsa Remote has drawn 2,500 relocators since 2018, boosting local economies, which is great. West Virginia's program, backed by Brad Smith, targets outdoor enthusiasts with $12,000. I told you this, but applicants must commit to 1 year. 70%, though, stay longer. Programs counter urban migration with 10,000 relocations in 2024. So, are you ready to move? You can learn more about how you can by clicking the link in the show notes below. In sports, we have a winner, ladies and gentlemen. The LSU Tigers won their 8th national baseball championship, defeating Coastal Carolina 5-3 in Game 2 of the 2025 College World Series Finals, sweeping the best-of-3 series. LSU's second title in 3 years under Coach Jay Johnson marked the SEC's 6th straight CWS championship. Congratulations to them. In basketball news, Kevin Durant, a 14-time NBA All-Star, was traded Sunday from the Phoenix Suns to the Houston Rockets for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, the number 10 pick in 2025, and 5 second-round picks between the years of 2026 and 2030. Durant, with 2 years left on his $194 million contract, joins a young Rockets squad. The trade ends Durant's 2-year Phoenix stint, where he never advanced past the second round. And then John Jones, UFC's reigning heavyweight champion, announced his retirement Saturday at 37 years old after a 17-year career, ending with a 28-1 record and 10 title defenses across 2 full divisions. Jones, speaking at UFC 312 in Las Vegas, cited family time and health concerns, including chronic knee injuries. Jones, considered MMA's greatest by Dana White, faced scrutiny for past drug test failures and legal issues, including a 2021 domestic violence plea. His light heavyweight reign, which was from 2011 to 2020, set records, and his 2023 heavyweight move cemented his legacy. In science and technology, Beta Technologies' Alia 250 electric plane, carrying 6 passengers, landed at New York's JFK Airport on June 15th after a 70 nautical mile flight from East Hampton. The 35-minute trip costs $8 in electricity compared to $200 in fuel for a gas-powered plane. The zero-emission aircraft with a 250-mile range aims for commercial use by 2026, backed by United Airlines' $100 million order. The flight, a first for JFK Airport, used a portable charger, cutting costs 90% versus jet fuel. Next, archaeologists in colonial Williamsburg, Virginia, uncovered a Continental Army barracks from 1776 to 1777, burned by British General Charles Cornwallis in 1781. Excavations revealed charred timber, musket balls, and ceramic shards near the James River, confirming its use by the 2nd Virginia Regiment. The 40 by 20-foot structure housed 60 soldiers during the Revolutionary War's early years. Artifacts including a pewter button with USA linked to George Washington's forces. The find, part of a $5 million dig, sheds light on soldier life. And this is really fascinating, but wrinkled fingertips after soaking, like if you're in a tub or maybe in a pool, well, long thought were harmless, may actually signal nerve or heart issues. And this is all because of a 2024 study in neurology. Water-induced wrinkling driven by blood vessel constriction relies on healthy nerves. Weak wrinkling in patients with diabetes or heart failure suggests nerve damage or poor circulation. Tests on 200 volunteers showed 30% with heart conditions had reduced wrinkling after a 10-minute soak. Doctors propose it as a quick diagnostic tool costing under $1. So you can read all about this in the show notes below if it fascinates you like it fascinated me. Here's what's happening beyond our borders. A suicide bomber attacked Marilius Greek Orthodox Church in Douaila, near Damascus, during Sunday's Divine Liturgy. At least 20 were killed and 50 were wounded, including children. The Islamic State-linked assailant fired a rifle before detonating an explosive vest, splintering pews and leaving blood across the altar. A second gunman, reported by witnesses, shot at the entrance but fled. Syria's interim president Ahmed al-Shara vowed to protect minorities, but faces challenges from IS sleeper cells exploiting post-Assad chaos. Next, Israeli forces recovered the bodies of 3 hostages on Saturday. Civilians Ofra Kidar, Yotanan Samarano, and soldier Shay Levinson. All 3 were killed during Hamas's October 7th attack. The operation, based on Shin Bet intelligence from a captured Palestinian fighter, brings the number of hostages still in Gaza to 54, with 31 presumed dead. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu expressed condolences, vowing to retrieve all hostages. And India tightened import rules on precious metal alloys and liquid gold in May to curb smuggling, which surged 15% in 2024, costing $500 million in lost taxes. Smugglers exploited loopholes, concealing gold and electronics and clothing, with 1,200 kilograms seized at Delhi airports. New rules mandate 15% duty on alloys with over 2% gold and ban liquid gold imports used in jewelry and tech. The measures aim to protect India's $40 billion gold market, the world's second largest, amid rising prices at $2,650 per ounce. What happens when a parrot from Massachusetts talks like a grumpy truck driver? Well, you get a viral bird with a potty mouth and a wait list of people just dying to adopt him. That story is next. Hendrix, a 20-year-old blue and gold macaw, has become a viral sensation at Forever Paws Animal Shelter in Fall River, Massachusetts, for his, might I say, not safe for work F-bombs and slurs. His very loud, explicit vocabulary, either mumbled or shouted, very much rules out homes with kids or apartments might be trying to adopt him. They require a $300 adoption fee and a large bird experience. That makes sense. Well, over 50 applicants flooded in after a June 10th shelter post went absolutely viral, comparing him to a Sour Patch Kid with arsenic. He says, "Thank you for snacks, but he also might tell you to shut up." All I can say is that's Massachusetts for you. I can only say that because I live here. Next story, the Incredible Dog Challenge hit Huntington Beach, California on June 20th with 30 dogs from Chihuahuas to Labradors competing in a surfing showdown at Surf City, USA. The 25th annual event, hosted by Purina Pro Plan, saw pups ride those waves on custom boards, dude, judged on balance, ride length, and tricks like 360 spins. Well, Sugar, a 5-year-old golden retriever, won her third straight title, riding a 20-second wave with Paw Wave right in the front. You can see it. By the way, she earned a $1,000 prize. Crowds of 2,000 cheered, with kids rushing in for those dog selfies. By the way, you can see those viral photos in the show notes below. It's so cute. Yesterday over the weekend, Amy Hess asked you this poll question. Here it is. How do you beat the summer heat? Oh my goodness. Here are the results. 64% said inside with the AC. 14% said dress light. 9% said hit the pool. 6% said icy drinks all day. And 7% said other. Yeah, I'm one of those people that I will just be inside with the AC, or I'll hit the pool. So I'm not sure what I would vote. Probably AC on that one. But here's the poll question for today. We were talking about Zillow being a home buyer's or a home seller's market. So the question is, do you own a home? Either yes, no, I rent, or no, I live with my family, or no, but I really want to. You can vote in the show notes below. For me, I feel very blessed. I bought a house, and I bought it before the pandemic and before things just went absolutely crazy. And I just feel very, very lucky that I own a house right now. And I keep telling myself, I'm never moving, because the interest rates were actually really good when we bought it. But I can't wait to read your answers in tomorrow's show. All right, everybody, here is the trivia question for today. Which American author was the first to submit a typewritten manuscript? Well, the answer, most credit Mark Twain, who typed up the book Life on the Mississippi back in 1883. Probably on a Remington. He joked that it was noisy, but loved how fast and clear that it made his writing. Whether he was the absolute first or not, he definitely helped make the typewriter a writer's tool. You guys, that is it for the Flyover Podcast. Thank you so much for catching up with me, hearing the biggest headlines of the day. Don't forget, if you're listening, if you're watching, keep sharing, keep rating the show. Give us 5-star reviews, of course. I will be back with tomorrow's major headlines. And until then, thanks for flying with us.